These past 10 months, millions of hopeful challengers competed in the FIFA 19 Global Series. After a grueling season of competitions all across the globe, only 32 players remain to clash in London for the ultimate prize, the 2019 FIFA eWorld Cup.
Just like that, blink and you'll miss it. He's done it again. Absolutely perfection.
And a fantastic finish once again. To Cristiano Ronaldo inside to Pele, it's an open goal. It's in!
Among these final contenders for the crown are the favorites we know and love, the informed players looking to make their mark, and the dark horses who have already been counted out by most. But before that happens, we're here to give you a preview of everything you need to know ahead of the biggest FIFA tournament on the planet. Welcome everyone to EA's beautiful headquarters here in Redwood City, California. I'm Jimmy Conrad alongside two of my friends, Dan Gaskin and Mike LaBelle. And I can't speak for these guys in particular. I'll let them speak for themselves. But I'm excited. I cannot wait for the eWorld Cup because it is a culmination of all the hard work and perseverance and determination of these players throughout a very, very long season. And at the end of it, whoever's holding that trophy is going to be an instant legend. And I love that.
Yeah, and it's just one person. That's the thing. From this whole season, you get one victor, one person holding the trophy. Is it going to be the likes of Desari? Is it going to be Tex? Are they going to be amazing? Or is it going to be an underdog? That's the excitement, is we have 16 players now from each side who could just break through and show what they're made of.
And I love that it's a reset.
Yeah.
So everybody gets to the top 16, but now it doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter if you're the 16th guy or the first place guy. You have to show up and show out. Biggest stage. Everybody's paying attention, and there's a lot of money on the line to go with that prestige.
Well, let's talk about our favorites first. And those favorites, well, here they come. It's going to be F2 Tex. He has to be the guy because I think he's amassed more points than anybody else. Well, for sure he's done that, but just as a cumulative effect. Now, before we get into him, though, let's hear from the players about what makes him so special.
F2 Tex.
F2 Tex.
F2 Tex. The man at the top of leaderboards, over 10,000 points. He's been the best competitor this year. He's fantastic with his player switching, his defending, his attacking, his all-round game is just amazing.
I mean, where to start? Fast, energetic, most of all, powerful.
Smart, decisive.
Is very good FIFA.
Skillful, explosive.
Very fast play, timed all the shots green. His finishing is very good.
The most consistent player this year, in my opinion.
We've seen him perform time and time again. I know a lot of players are scared to play against him, so hopefully he can bring that form going forward.
What can I say? He's good all round.
Okay, so Tex is easily the most dominant player this year in FIFA 19. Do you think he has it in him to win this tournament? To be the top dog at the end of this whole season where he's been so successful?
I mean, a simple answer is yes. He 100% has it within him. I don't think we saw Tex's full potential in the playoffs. Not that he was holding back, but I feel like he was trying to prove a point. He was trying to play FIFA in a different way, and I think at eWorld Cup, we're going to see him with no shackles, no chains. He's just going to come out, and he is going to be firing on everyone. 7 titles this season, and it would be incredible if he was able to finish that with an eWorld Cup trophy.
And to build off of what Dan said here, Tex has that X factor, and if Tex is playing at his best, I don't think anyone can beat him. So Tex really controls his own destiny. You could say that about every single player, but if he's in form, if he's doing his thing, if he has that magical movement that F2 Tex can create both offensively and defensively, who's going to beat him? There's a reason that he's won 7 different events this year, and this is the one that he's been itching for. I talked to him a couple days ago. He was in Boston. He was doing some work with Liverpool, the club that he supports. He ran back home. He said, I got to practice.
Okay, listen, you said who can beat him? I've got a name for you. His name is Desari. He's the reigning eWorld Cup champion, and I think he needs to be respected. Put some respect on his name, Mike LaBelle, because he is a champion until proven otherwise. Can he repeat, Dan?
He definitely has it within him as well. What he's shown this season is consistency. He hasn't been at as many tournaments as Tex, but the tournaments he has been at, he has performed. He has won FUT Champions Cup as well. Yes, okay, he's not been the name on everyone's lips just because of the sheer amount of tournaments that Tex was at. But he has beaten Tex, and I'm sure he knows that he can beat Tex again when it comes to the biggest prize.
Number 1, Desari loves London. Number 2.
Wait, you got a list for us.
Yes, I do. Number 1, loves London.
Checklist.
All right. Number 2, he has that champion's pedigree. MS Desari has that. And number 3, I think we're going to see motivated MS Desari. I don't think that he liked his performance at playoffs. Not necessarily result-based of where he went out versus in Rasic, but I just don't think he played a very good tournament, and he's aware of that as well. He's going to sit down. He's going to take a few weeks to make sure that he's analyzing what he needs to adjust, and he's going to come in with a bit of a different package. He's innovative. He's always creative, and he's a tactical master.
Okay, one of my favorite parts from this whole season was the beef that was brewing in London for a FUT Champions Cup between MS Desari and F2 Tex. If you don't remember it, let this refresh your memory.
It's crazy to say that MS Desari is kind of going under the radar a little bit purely because of what Tex is doing. Do you mind that? Do you feel a little bit like, hang on, I'm the world champ still, don't forget about me?
Of course, he deserves it because he have won 3 FUT Champions Cup. I won 1, but I think when it matters, the World Championship, and I'm the World Champion. So if he won the whole 6 FUT Champions Cup and I still won the World Championship, nobody will know him.
Nobody would know him. Well, strong words. And I don't know if you heard what he said, but Desari said that if you don't win the World Cup final, the eWorld Cup final, no one will remember you. How do you feel about that?
I really mind what Desari says. I'm by far the best player in the world. I beat him twice this year. He's beat me once, so I know best.
Tex coming up with some stats there from this season.
Okay, well, these two players, well, they faced each other in London, and MS Desari did get the best of F2 Tex, and MS Desari went on to win the tournament to give credibility to what Mike said before, that MS Desari loves London. And after that tournament, after he won, this is the tweet he had: "There's only one king in the jungle," and a little shush emoji. I love that. I love that. Now, there's another fun thing for you guys. I don't know if you saw this or not, but in Hamburg, in the playoffs, I found this on the ground. Okay? Can you guys see? It says, yeah, zoom in here. I'm Tex, so clearly it's a goat. It says I'm Tex, and then MS Desari is riding the goat. So I think this is awesome, but kind of weird at the same time, because what does it all mean? What does it signify? And you can see it's folded. It's been crumpled up.
I'm very confused. A, how on earth did you find this? And B, they're saying, okay, so Tex is the GOAT, but he's on top of the GOAT, so he's better than the greatest of all time?
He's like the greatest GOAT. He's the GGOAT.
He's controlling the GOAT. On a side note, whoever drew that is pretty talented.
It's pretty good, right?
Pretty clever and artistic.
Yeah, pretty good.
To go into the topic of the greatest of all time, because we've spoke about it all season, realistically, MS Desari has to win this event to even be considered one of the greatest of all times. There's 2 other players who have won titles. They've won 2 titles in the FEWC or FIWC, Alfonso Ramos and Bruce Granek. And those 2 players should be considered the greatest of all times. They have those 2 titles. MS Desari can be the 3rd player to do that. No doubt in my mind, Tex is the best in the world right now. But if he's going to be the best in the world ever, he's going to have a couple of World Cups behind his name to actually achieve that.
And it's worth mentioning that both Bruce Granek and Alfonso Ramos won those titles in different eras of the game, in terms of how many people are competing, the amount of money, the amount of fame, and just.
But that's the same conversation you can have with Pelé and Maradona versus Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Absolutely, you should still make that argument. It should still be out
just
there.
Just because it's a different era doesn't take away from their achievements.
It doesn't take away from their achievements, and definitely doesn't take away from their impact in the competitive scene for both, especially their nations. The entire French scene is based off of Bruce Granek's success. A lot of the sponsors, brands, and just general interest. And the same could be said with Alfonso Ramos. But I do agree with you that you need to have 2 on the board to really be able to say, I am the greatest, the only guy to go back-to-back. Well, not only. He'd be in this era for sure, the only guy to be there. But you need to have a couple titles under your belt to really make that claim, and people to be like, all right, that's cool. I agree with you.
All right, well, we've talked about F2 Tex. We've talked about MS Desari. Now it's time to talk about another favorite, Nicolas. Now, this guy is extremely talented, and we're going to throw now to a piece.
I'm from Argentina. Currently, rank is #1 on PS4.
Nicolas 99 FC. So where to start?
The best player in the world.
The best PS4 player in the world.
One of the best players in the world.
The best PS4 player.
Best PS4 player this year.
Here comes Nicolas. Here we go. Here's an early goal as well.
His defending is unreal.
Defense so good. So good in the defense, maybe the best in the world.
His attack is very composed.
Attacking is just amazing.
Mbappe now. Inside, still Mbappe. Oh, wonderful.
Probably one of the best at pressuring and keeping the ball.
A couple of mistakes here, and Nicolas could punish, and he does.
He's in control of me. He won the last 5 games.
To Neymar! Nicolas steals it from the deck.
I hope I don't face him because he usually beats me.
I'm very confident now. I really trained for this tournament and I want to win.
I think the biggest compliment that I can pay Nicolas is that I'm always surprised when he loses. I just can never believe it. And it's never because of his opponent or how well they played. It's always because Nicolas must have made mistakes.
Yeah, and sometimes he does make mistakes, and I think that's what you're banking on if you go up against Nicolas. But he's been so consistent throughout this year. On the PlayStation, he has dominated. Most people that have gone up against him have failed, and that's why he is #1 on the PlayStation leaderboards. That's why he's got to be considered as a possible candidate of winning this. Yes, okay, it's going to be very difficult for a PS4 player to win the World Cup because we've not seen it for so long. But he definitely has the potential, and he's got the skills as well.
And I love a good stat. No one on the PlayStation Inn has a positive record against Nicolas. Not this year, not last year. He is so consistent, and it comes down to him having the structure. He'll wear you down. He has the best game management as well if he gets ahead or even if he's making a comeback, and he adjusts to his opposition so well. And we talk about his defense, his pressure play, his traps, his micromanaging. Just got to give him a hand clap.
You do have to give him a hand clap.
I guess
he's a fantastic player. He's got no weaknesses. He's got no weaknesses. Well, another player, and I think he's going to hate us for making him a favorite, it is Lev Vinkin, but he's been playing so well recently, we had to include him on this list. And here's what some of the other competitors had to say about him.
I'm Makers Lev Vinkin from Amsterdam, and this year my only goal was to qualify for the World Cup, so it means so much for me.
Mikos Lev Vinkin.
Lev Vinkin.
Lev Vinkin. There it is! Lev Vinkin! Anything this man touches turns to gold. One of my best friends in the scene, I'd say. One of the funniest guys in the scene as well.
What a guy. I'll say this right now. When we play our pickup games, he's someone that I don't want to play football in real life against.
Yeah, he's a cool guy, but he's also really confident. When you talk to him, they always say, yeah, I'm the best. And he has like Gucci, Prada, looks good and wants to be best. So it's funny. I love him.
Lev is very good mentally. He never loses his head. He doesn't play too tactically, but he knows all the mechanics of FIFA, knows how to play.
Area's free, but it doesn't matter because Lev Vinkin has found a way through the defences here.
This is somebody which I've tipped time and time again to go on and do great things.
I always want to win a tournament, and I never won it. I'm really close a couple times, but I never won it, so my motivation is I want to be the best.
Chance here for Lev to make it 2-0, and he does!
Congratulations, Lev Vinkin. There's a reason he's a top 10 in the world. He's really good. I think he's one of the best players.
One day he could be a World Cup champion.
Not only did we get to hear from the competitors, but we got to hear from the man himself. I always enjoy that, get a little insight into what they're thinking and how they approach the game. Now, the reason I'm picking Lev Vinkin to be one of the favorites is because the guy knows how to win when he doesn't play well, and for me, that's a sign of a champion.
He has been so close to actually winning titles as well this season. He's been the runner-up several times on the PlayStation side. He just needs to kind of overcome his demons, and unfortunately that demon is pretty much Nicolas. If he can beat Nicolas at the eWorld Cup, then there's no reason why he couldn't go on to be the PlayStation champion at the eWorld Cup. He has so much potential, and bear in mind, he's still very young. I think he's only like 19 years old.
He's the biggest 19-year-old I know. And we've seen peaks for the other three competitors that we're talking about being favorites here, and he's earned his favoritism, so to speak. But we haven't seen that necessarily from Lev Vinkin. We don't know where he's going to end up. He keeps getting better. He's improving, and as you saw in the video, the man is hungry. And he's been eating. I mean, he's buffed up. I wouldn't want to play against him. He looked good in playoffs. He almost beat Nicolas in the final, and this isn't a mental hurdle that Lev Vinkin's having here. It's just a matter of getting that last little piece of the gameplay just right, and maybe those minor moments, the small details, the fine margins. But he's growing, and mentally he looks like he's in there. I don't see him having that as a, oh, I'm in a final again, I don't think I can win this. That's not the vibe, that's not the energy I get. Lev Vinkin will be a champion, and why not? From FIFA eWorld Cup, seems like a good time to me.
Well, we've heard it here from us. There is our look for the favorites for this tournament. And now we're going to move into our players to watch, and I am going to go first because I'm controlling the microphone, and I'm going with Enrasic. He is my guy on this one, and yes, I know that no Germans have ever won an eWorld Cup, but I don't care. He's on the best team. He's on Rogue. He's teammates with Emma Sassari. He's teammates with Goal Machine. And I just think he has something about him at this point in time in the season where I think he could go and surprise some people. He beat Emma Sassari in the playoffs, and I think that's going to give him a lot of confidence going into this one. He's ranked 6th overall, and I just think if he can get that confidence, which I think he did get from beating Emma Sassari, maybe he can sneak through and do some damage and make a deep run. I think once you get into the knockout rounds of the FIFA eWorld Cup, then it's all to play for. Because we saw Nicholas lose in the quarterfinals last year, so just being a favorite isn't a guarantee that you're going to win the trophy. And I like Enrasic, so I wish him the very best of luck.
That's nice. At least he's got your back. You have Jimmy Conrad's seal of approval. Well,
isn't that all that matters? It's all that matters.
I'm going to go on to my player to watch, and how can we not talk about Rebel Stokes, the Xbox playoff winner? He took down Tex in the final. He looked like a different class at this tournament, and everyone was impressed. He's been around for quite some time. Even Mike LaBelle said he used to play him, and we know how old Mike LaBelle's getting nowadays. He is incredible. The fact that he showed something a little bit different at this event is what made it so special to me. The low-driven time finesse. Whether he's shown that a little bit too early at the playoffs and maybe wanted to save it for the eWorld Cup, that remains to be seen. But regardless, he's going to be going in with so much confidence, and everyone is going to be scared to play against him. His attacking flair was there. Defensively, he looked solid as well. He just scored goals, and he scored goals when he needed to. I think he could really be a contender to take down some of the big dogs.
All right, and I respect that choice. Mike, it is now your turn, and now you can have a rebuttal to him calling you old.
Well, thankfully, I'm not as old as Jimmy Conrad.
Oh, come on, what's that? I was trying to say you have to be nice.
That was perfect.
What?
Thanks, Jim.
What did I sign up for here? Go ahead, just give us your player to watch.
I'm a little older than Dan, so I can't use that reference. Well, I'm looking at Wolves FIFILZA. We need to talk more about the Brazilian players. And I always talk about peaking and being in form. And this is the best that I've seen him play at playoffs. So he's coming off that. He's got to feel confident. We saw him put on a clinic in terms of different types of ways of scoring goals. The quick passing, the long shooting, everything was always time green. He had the game management. We saw comebacks. We saw him face adversity. Just a little bit of everything, and it's really important to have that confidence going into big tournaments. And I like to talk about Brazilians in general. I feel like they don't get the love that they really deserve at that next level. We've got 5 Brazilians. If you're looking at the PlayStation, you're looking at the Xbox end, and I think FIFILZA is leading them right now in terms of who's in the best form out of that grouping.
No, I like it. I like both of your selections. You like mine?
Yeah.
Ben Rasic, you're happy with it?
Yeah, very happy.
All right, good.
I think Rasic will be more happy, but
that's true. That's true. All right, that is our players to watch for this tournament. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know in the chat or on social media, and then we're going to take a quick break. So we'll get to that in a second, and enjoy this commercial.
Should have been caught up. Even Granny got hit with no antenna. And the cool kids peeped on the internet. Ain't no fighting the hype when it's evident. I mean, feast for your eyes. Ain't you mystified? At a minimum, fresher than your Listerine. Oh, you missed it, huh? How you missed the vine? Oh, you missed the mastermind. Amazing. The one. Yeah, you looking at the best. There you go, you're looking at number 1. Gotta tell him. Yeah, you looking at no cap with that. Cause when it bleeds to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the EST, you got me. I got the hands on me or the intellect, and when I be on scene, or the eyes connect, so come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know other feast on me, man, I've been the best. I got the hands on me or the intellect, and when I be on scene, or the eyes connect, so come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know other feast on me, man, I've been the best. Oh, amazing. The one. Yeah, you looking at the best. There you go, you're looking at number 1. Gotta tell him. Yeah, you looking at no cap. Cause when it bleeds to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the EST, you got me. Got the hands on me or the intellect, and when I be on scene, or the eyes connect, so come get some. So just peanut butter, you know other things on me, man, I've been the best. I got the moves.
Welcome back, everyone, to EA's headquarters here in Redwood City, California. I'm Jimmy Conrad, alongside Dan Gaskin and Mike LaBelle, and we're really enjoying this show. We've done our favorites. We've done our players to watch. Now it is time for our dark horses for this eWorld Cup. And I am going to go first. I'm going all North America, everybody, okay? I'm going with a Mexican-American, Joxon. I'm going with NYC Chris after that. We're going to start with Joxon first. He had a tremendous start to this season. He was very good. He came out of the gates, really put himself on the radar as a player to watch. He did take some time off to do some school stuff and some off-the-field stuff, as I like to say. But I think he's a force anytime he enters into a tournament. So I think he's one to watch. And then NYC Chris, who represents NYCFC and EMLS. He's the reigning and first time ever E-Champions League winner, and I think that would give you some confidence. So he knows he can win big tournaments. And then finally, we're going north of the American border to Canada with Rogue Goal Machine. Maybe this hasn't been the tournament, or excuse me, the season where he's really lit it up and gotten far, but he still has the talent to make it happen and make a deep run. So those guys are my dark horses. NA all day, North America represent. I'm very excited to see how these guys are going to perform, and I think they have the goods to make it happen.
If I had known we were just backing our countries, I might have gone for someone English. But of course he goes for North America. I'll let you go.
Yeah, do I get 3 or 4 names that I can drop here? Hey, by the way, I have a dark horse. I'm going to name the rest of the competition. My name is Jimmy Conrad.
Well, congratulations. You probably picked the winner.
So I'm looking at, and I don't know if I want to call him the unknown Frenchman. I'm going to say, actually, the overshadowed Frenchman. We're looking at Rafsu, because people don't talk about him the same way they talk about someone like PSG Dax or someone like Maestro. But I don't know why not. This man shows up, he's very consistent, he looked good last year at playoffs, he's tactical, he's a big moment player, he's got emotions in the right direction in my opinion. He's not going to fault if he goes down. We've seen him make multiple comebacks. He's got a lot of self-belief, clever mindset, strong mindset. I just believe in Rafsu being able to make a run, and a lot of people don't put him into the category that I think he deserves to be in terms of tiers. And a lot of people aren't talking about him because maybe he's in the 14th slot. They're like, is he really going to be able to make some upsets? And the answer is yes. At the end of the day, like I said at the very beginning of the show, this is a reset. It doesn't matter how you qualified to get into the top 16. You're here, and now it can become your time. This can be your dream come true. And that's kind of what the eWorld Cup's all about, is being able to come out of the group stage, make a run for it, and then of course there is a huge payday to go with if you do make that successful run, and we've seen that happen time and time again.
I mean, Rafsu is a very scary competitor, but someone who's even more scary. My player to watch and my dark horse is going to have to be Dull and Mike, the youngest ever FUT Champions Cup winner, taking that title off of F2 Tex. We saw how well he performed in Bucharest. He blew us all out of the water. We didn't expect this from him. And then the questions were asked. Was he going to be able to continue this form? Was he going to be able to continue being one of the best players around? He dropped off a little bit, but he also didn't qualify for that many tournaments this season, so he wasn't given the opportunity to maybe demonstrate what he was made of. However, we did see him perform in the most recent tournaments. Of course, he was at playoffs. We saw him in Atlanta as well, and he was still reaching the latter stages of tournaments. And I think because he's young, because he's hungry, he is going to be a terrifying competitor, and it's why he's going to be my dark horse for this event.
Do you think Dolan Mike is maybe too young? You know, that he already peaked this season? And we could say that about all these guys, but...
No, I think they're all young. I mean, you're in your prime when you're from like 16 to 23. Your reactions are great. You have time to play. Maybe the only other thing he's worrying about is school. I think.
I mean, these are still stresses.
Honestly, Dull and Mike, he has.
You think he's playing with house money then? He's got no pressure.
He's got no pressure. I think that people are overlooking him now because he dropped off a little bit after that win, and he could surprise everybody.
He's got no fear, and he's got a deep voice. You gotta be careful. He's got the deepest voice out of the group. Last 32 competitors, go talk to Dolan Mike.
All right, these were our dark horses for this tournament, so we'll see how they do.
So we're talking about favourites, and who better than the PS4 playoff champion, and not only the champion, but the back-to-back playoff champion in Nicholas. Mike, what is it that makes Nicholas so good, and how has he won 2 playoffs in a row?
Well, when we're looking at consistency, it doesn't get much better than Nicholas. And it sounds a little bit cliche, but at the end of the day, defense wins championships. It helps with his consistency, and that's what we're going to be analyzing, how he's able to use his high back line, use his pressure play on the defensive end, and it allows him to start easy attacks. You can see that everybody is near that halfway line, and this is up against Stefano Pina. So Nicholas, #1 in the world, versus Stefano Pina, #3 in the world.
And we see a lot of players typically with a deep line dropping back. What is the advantage of playing a high line like this?
Well, when you're playing a high back line, you're playing more aggressive. And for some people, it might be considered a risk. For someone like Nicholas, he feels confident doing that. His micromanaging of the game, his double teams, and his ability to turn amazing defense into easy offense. It's always kind of been some of his bread and butter, and then he's going to be clinical, as you can see on screen. He takes a quick glance up. Stefano Pina's goalkeeper started to scoot just a little bit. He's going to hit a shot on the near post. He's got that finish. We expect him to be able to do this time and time again, and that's why he's been able to win so many tournaments. And maybe it's his time. We got the FIFA eWorld Cup around the corner.
Now we've got Rebel Stokes, the man who everyone said, can he beat Tex? Can he take down Tex in the final? He did just that. They said it was impossible, but he made it possible. Mike, how on earth did he do this? How did he beat the wonder kid that is Tex?
It's worth mentioning, as you see this clip on screen, that Tex versus Stokes. Stokes has a good record against F2 Tex for the most part. He's been able to take multiple games off him. Very offensive player. He's capable. He's got the skill moves, and he's also utilizing a skill set or a maneuver that we don't see used at the professional level very often, where you're looking at the low-driven, timed finesse shot. That's a lot. It's a mouthful, and it's not easy to do, especially not instinctively. Just imagine that I'm holding a controller right now. And that's what you're going to see here, where you have R9 in kind of a bit of a bread and butter zone. You're either going to hit the near post or hit the far post. He's going to use that low driven, which gives you a little more curve, a little more shape.
Yeah, the finesse just allows you just to curve it round the keeper, and it means that the keeper, even if he gets his leg down, he's not going to be able to take him out.
And this increases your chances of being able to convert from within the box, and especially going up against a player with the quality and just the reputation of F2 Tex and how he's able to move that goalkeeper. The low-driven time finesse shot does a good job of beating the goalkeeper in many different instances.
So the real question is whether Stokes can be able to carry on that form into the eWorld Cup. Now, a feature that I'm excited for, and I'm sure, Mike, you're very excited for as well. In FIFA 20, with the Foot Champions channel, you can go back and look at any player you want. If you have a favorite like Levinkin or Tex, Nicholas, you can watch their weekend league games, you can watch their tournament games, all in FIFA 20. I can't wait for it, he can't wait for it, and I'm sure you can't wait for it as well.
And now it's time for a pro's perspective. You've heard from us, and now it's time to talk to somebody who competes against these top competitors on a regular basis. It's Dr. Nightwatch. He's a hero, he's an icon, he's a legend, he's a competitor, he's an analyst. He can do it all. Thank you so much for joining us, my man.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for the exaggerated kind words.
You're welcome. Exaggeration is maybe what I do. I consider myself arguably the best player in U.S. men's national team history. Conversation for another time. So let's get into this, the eWorld Cup. Of these 32 competitors in this tournament, who would you least likely to want to face?
I would say probably Nicholas. Out of the 32 players, probably Nicholas is the one you don't want to face because of his defense and his offense.
Okay. Yeah, Nicholas. I mean, that's solid.
He's a very scary man. And now, I mean, you've been at high-pressure tournaments before. We've seen you at the E-Champions League, for example. What is the pressure like when you get to these like high-stakes tournaments when it's you've been building towards it all year?
It very much depends on what you're feeling, what your goals are for the tournament. For example, if you go in a tournament expecting to win it, obviously from game one, you have pressure on your shoulders that you just cannot lose. If you go in a tournament that's kind of the underdog and nobody expects you to win this whole tournament or just win specific games against favorites, then you don't really have that pressure. You can play how you can best. I know that some players thrive under pressure, so it's very contextual. But if you're a player that generally is playing worse under pressure and is just playing their best when nobody expects anything of you, I guess that's what you wanna be dealing with, and that's the expectations you wanna have going into a tournament. Just taking the cliche game by game and just deal with it as it goes.
So we know that you don't want to face Nicholas. But what about out of the rest of the 32 competitors, or 31 if we put Nicholas to the side, who are your players to watch? Who should everybody be tuning in for that maybe can make a run that's maybe not one of the favorites in this event?
I mean, considering the last couple of months, I have a few players that aren't specifically underdogs considering the last 2-3 months in the last competitions. But in my opinion, they're not the top favorites like Tex, Dosri, and Nicholas and Maestro to have one from each group. So if you have to kind of name an underdog, because it is the World Cup, I would say to not exclude any players, one from each group would be Stokes from Group A. I would have from Group B, the obvious favorite is Dosri, so I would say maybe Dax to go far and win the World Cup. And on the PlayStation side, I would have Zizinho from Group D. He is the 7th seed in the group, but I think considering how his season has gone, he is one of the underdogs. And in Group C, I would say obviously Levinkin. Nicholas is the clear favorite in that group and on the PS4 side, but I think Levinkin is, again, an underdog that can win the whole thing.
Okay, now let's talk about the mental side of this, Dr. Nightwatch, because you've participated in a lot of competitions, and I want to know about the emotional roller coaster. When things go well and when things don't go well, how do you stay steady?
I mean, me personally, I'm not the right person to ask because my mental side is clearly not the best, at least not on FIFA 19, and that's my main working point going into FIFA 20. So I would say that from personal experience, the mental side is probably, at this level especially, the most important thing. You see players like Nicholas, like Tex, like Dossary, they don't bat an eye during games. Like when things don't go against them, you can barely see it on their face. You could have Nicholas in competitions, in the tightest of games, in the most important games, having 60 beats per minute, and that's just impossible for some players like myself. If something doesn't go my way in a game, I will show it voluntarily or not. And I know that's something I have to work on, and just people and players at this level have to work on, that if you want to be the best, and if you want to be consistently on top, you have to work on your mental side, not let the game affect you no matter what happens, and just be able to play your best FIFA at all times.
And in this year's season in particular, we've seen the rise of players and coaches having unique handshakes. So is there anything that we can expect going forward? We've seen some good ones, we've seen some bad ones. How important is it to have that camaraderie, I can't talk, to have that relationship with your coach or between the two of you guys in terms of getting that mental state and just being on the same page?
I mean, there's both sides to it. If you have a perfect handshake, like the one we just saw between Tex and Tom, it just shows that you have some chemistry between both players. That they've done this before. They've kind of practiced it like football players practice their celebrations before games. Like they know they're going to score, so they know how they're going to celebrate. But in case it goes wrong, there's also this charm to it that in the moment you can kind of laugh it off.
Like re-up on that?
Adds a bit more positive energy into these tight scenarios and tight games. So chances are, if there's a celebration, if there's a handshake, the goal is important, the moment is tense. And if it kind of fails, there is that laughter between the player and the coach, knowing they're on camera. So there's both sides to it. I think both are positive in their own way.
And I know, Ivan, that you are going to be coaching at the eWorld Cup. Is there maybe a little bit of pressure for you? And what would you say are the roles for a coach, and how important are they at an event like this?
I mean, personally, for me, pressure as a coach, I wouldn't really say. Obviously, as a player, and no matter what role I want to do, I want to do it the best possible, but not everything is in your control as a coach. So the pressure is less on me, more maybe on the player, if he feels the pressure. But in terms of how important a coach is, it also depends what kind of player you are. If you're a player like myself, I need more of a mental coach, a player or a coach that will help me through the tight games, just let me keep my head. And for some other players, they need a more tactical coach, some coaches to tell them what to do in game, some coaches to tell them what's good, how the opponent plays, what to change. Some players need both. So it depends kind of on the player, what kind of coach they need. And I think the coach role is very important, but you can also have the wrong coach. If you're good mentally, you don't need a mental coach. And if you're good tactically, you don't need a tactical coach. It's about finding a good balance.
Well, Dr. Nightwatch, we thank you for your time. It's much appreciated, and I know we'll see you soon.
Thanks for having me. See you soon.
All right, as for everyone else, we're going to take a quick break, but when we return, we're going to break down all of the eWorld Cup groups. Don't go anywhere.
Should've been caught up. Even Granny got hit with no antenna. And the cool kids peeped on the internet. Ain't no fighting the hype when it's evident. I mean, peace for your eyes. Ain't you mystified? At a minimum, fresher than your Listerine.
Oh, you missed it, huh?
How you missed the vine?
Oh, you missed the mastermind.
Amazing.
The one.
Yeah, you looking at the best. There you go, you're looking at
Number one. I gotta tell him.
Yeah, you looking at fire. Coach, you looking. Yo, no cap with that. Cause when it bleeds to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the EST. You got me. I got the beats on me or the intellect selecting when I be on scene. All the eyes connect, so come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know other feast on me, man. I've been the best. I got the hands on me, all the intellect, and when I be on scene, all the eyes connect, so come get some. Smooth as peanut butter, you know other feast on me, man. I've been the best. Oh, amazing. The one. Yeah, you looking at the best. There you're looking at number one. Gotta tell him. Yeah, you looking at no cap. Cause when it beats to the knees like 100 degrees, it's the B to the EST. You got me. Got the things on me, all the intellect, and when I be on scene, all the eyes connect, so come get some. So just be a bit, you know other things on me, man. I've been the best. I got the moves.
Okay, I'll be honest, FIFA 20 looks amazing. It looks so good, I cannot wait to play it. But first, we have to get to this eWorld Cup, the last event in the competitive season. It's gonna be exciting. Now, we've talked about the individual players, some players that we wanna watch, some favorites, some dark horses. Now let's get to the groups themselves. And we're gonna start on the Xbox side of things, Group A and Group B. So let's take a look at those right now. Fellas, these are some ridiculous names, some ridiculous competitors who are ridiculously good at this game.
First thing that stands out to me in both groups is Group A, all 3 United Kingdom competitors, and Group B, all 3 Rogue members as well. So a lot of rivalries already in both of these groups. And to be fair, they both look pretty stacked. I don't think I'd want to compete in either of them.
But are they ridiculous, as Jimmy was saying? No, both groups I think are relatively even. I mean, it's a preference of what types of play styles you think you do better against, but when you're looking at Group A, you've got the big names, Group B's got the big names, and it's gonna be a matter of who's able to kind of put it all together in those big moments.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see because, as you say, what's the cliche? If you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. And that pretty much is clear, that these are some of the top players in the world, and you have to get there to get to the top, to hold the trophy over your head. That's what you have to do to earn it, to have that opportunity. Now let's get to Group C and D, the PS4 side of things. We just saw the playoffs go down in Berlin for PS4. Hamburg was for Xbox, but yes, these are tasty as well, Dan.
I think the exciting thing is these are the players we've seen all season. These are the best 16 players we've ended up with. They faced up against each other before, and they're all going to be practicing, preparing of who have I got to face in this group, who could I face in the knockout stages if I get to the stages. And then you've got players like Footwiz Marco, for example, who just snuck in. He just held on to that 16th spot. He's got nothing to lose now. He's going to be so excited going into this.
And contrary to the Xbox groups, I know exactly which group I do not want to be in. Group C looks disgusting.
Well, I was going to ask you that because which one is your group of death? Now that we've seen all 4 of these groups, is there one group that stands out more than the other? Because we could argue they're all very difficult.
I would probably have to agree with Mike. I think Group C does look the most difficult if we're looking at the comparative between Xbox and PS4. And I mean, we don't even have to explain why. Just look at some of those names. Tuga, who has won a PlayStation side. Houston's won the PlayStation side. Mo Alba has been a figure throughout the entire season. Levinkin's come runner-up 3 times. Nicholas is Nicholas. And then the other 3, they can throw a spanner in the works as well. That's a terrifying group.
Yeah, I think what's interesting is that Nicholas beat Lev Vinkin in the final of the playoffs. He beat Mo Alba in the semifinals of the playoffs. And those are going to be some big revenge matches. So I think for me, one of the key matchups in this is Mo Alba trying to get his revenge against Nicholas. Can he do it? Because I talked to Mo Alba while we were there, and he's like, when Nicholas plays like that, he's unbeatable. Nobody can touch him.
And if you're asking me, the answer is no. I don't think he can do it. Plain and simple. As much as I love Mo Alba and his gameplay, I don't think it suits this matchup very well. Nicholas outlasts him over 2 legs, and we've seen that time and time again, where he's not able to beat him over a 2-leg spread.
Okay, that's one revenge match. How about the next one? Another key matchup in this group of death, as we're calling it. Nicholas versus Lev Vinkin. Because this is a chance now for Lev Vinkin to take maybe what he learned from his loss to Nicholas and apply it here to get a better result.
And I think within the group stage, Lev Vinkin has a fantastic chance to actually get a little bit of revenge onto Nicholas here. Lev Vinkin didn't look that much second best against Nicholas. He was attacking well, he was scoring incredible goals, but he was just pipped right at that final second by Nicholas. And I think that going into it, Lev Vinkin's going to be filled with so much confidence that he has a fantastic chance to overrun him here.
And in that final, we saw a good Nicholas and a good Lev Vinkin. That was not a letdown at all. That wasn't as if Lev Vinkin was playing a second-rate Nicholas and it was a close matchup. So that does say that Nicholas has that, or that Lev Vinkin has that quality to be able to beat Nicholas. And if you want to come out of the PlayStation end, you have to. You're going to have to.
Okay, now that was Group C. How about any other key matchups that you're seeing around. Because one, for me in particular, is Rebel Stokes versus F2 Tex in Group A, because that is a rematch of the final from Hamburg. And I think it's something that maybe Tex is worried about, or maybe he's not. Maybe Tex is just doing his own thing.
These two have been competing against each other all season. Rebel Stokes is one of the few players who actually has a good record against Tex. Mike, I'm sure, can correct me on that, but Stokes won 5-3 in the final. Tex unfortunately couldn't get back into it. He was pushing high, and then Stokes caught him on a counter-attack, and that's what got him the victory in the end. Stokes is going to be feeling amazing coming into this event, but when you just prod the beast a little bit too much, that's when Tex now is going to come out and he's going to look scary.
Before I knew you were about to say something, Mike, but before you do, how many players do you think of these 32 can hit a switch and turn it on whenever they want? Because I think there's only a handful.
I'm going to say 10 out of the 32.
10? That's a lot. That's a lot more than I anticipated.
That I think can take it up a notch or are right there on the correct horizon or the correct end of the horizon. That glass is more than half.
And F2 Tex and Desari are clearly, and Nicolas are 3 of the 10, I assume.
3 of the 10. I would put Levink in there. So that's one of your number 4. I think FIFILZA could make an interesting run. I thought that he looked really good in playoffs. I mean, if he's able to replicate that form. I think someone like Rafsu. These are guys that obviously I talked about and brought up, so there's a bit of a bias there. But
I'm glad you said it, because me and Dan were thinking it.
Even like we've seen Houston for the majority of the year just devour people, overwhelm them, give you all this attacking goodness. I mean, goals on goals on goals. And why should we say he can't do that in the final? Because he had one off event. I mean, the rest of the year, he's been good money.
Well, I feel like there's some guys that have it. They know they have that confidence already inside. They can hit that switch. But then on the flip side of things, some guys just need to have that run of form to get going. They have to have that confidence, that external confidence.
I'm going to argue with both of you, and I think all 32 players have it within them. That's the reason why we've got the best 32 players at this tournament. I know we're speaking about the underdogs, we're speaking about our favourites, but realistically, any player can win this tournament. They have it in them. They are the 32 best players in the world. Millions of people entered this. Millions of people competed, and now we've got the best of the best. And I'm really excited to see what happens.
All right, Mike's throwing a sign to me saying he disagrees.
Disagree.
Okay.
I can barely write.
You can't write,
yeah,
and
don't
you can't
zoom
speak
in on
very
this.
well either.
But I barely speak, but I disagree with what Dan's saying. I don't think all 32 competitors, in theory, sure, they have a chance, but I don't think they have what's necessary in them. You don't even think 10. You're over here playing the politically correct answer. All 32. Who wants hugs? You want a hug? He wants a hug. She wants a hug. I'll give you the hug.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about these 32.
Everybody gets a participation trophy from Dan.
No, that's an American thing. I don't know why he's doing it as an English.
He's born in the U.S.
You were born here. You can claim that. All right. Now let's talk about the 32 competitors and where they're from, because it's really interesting to see just the dichotomy of where all these players originate from, and if that influences how good of a player they are. So Mike, why don't you take this away?
We've got Germany, 6 out of 32. A lot of people would say that's what we expected. However, what about Brazil? Stand up.
Wow.
Yes, Brazil, 5 of the players we're looking at Resende. We've got Vizinho, FIFILZA, Ajax, Tora, Binho, and then United Kingdom with 3, France with 3. Nations that we expect.
But I feel like Brazil deserves some more respect, just because of the amount of players that they have here and how many they're qualifying in general.
And they're aligned. They work together. They always root for each other. Any event you go to, if one of the Brazilians keeps progressing, everybody is there in this corner supporting them.
Do you not see that with other countries?
Not all the time. Sometimes I feel like there's, something deep down that says, I want to go farther than you. I don't necessarily want to see you do that well because I want to keep my E-Nations position, or I still want to be regarded as the best in my country. And that supersedes them saying, oh, you could keep going, you could do this. I don't know, maybe there's a little jealousy there, some envy.
I think the interesting fact is those numbers, Germany, the most players in the tournament, but they've never won an eWorld Cup. We've never seen a German representative win the eWorld Cup. We've seen Spain do it twice, France do it twice, England do it twice, Saudi Arabia do it twice, but never Germany. And a fun fact for any English fans, we've seen 3 competitive FIFA World Cups in London, in England, and there's been 2 English winners. We've had Gorilla and we had Chrissy Bullard. That's going back quite a way as well. I think that there's a fantastic opportunity for one of these Englishmen to kind of make it up and just, win it in their hometown.
Okay, now no. Before we move forward, we got to get to predictions. Let's just jump to predictions. Mike, you go first. Who do you think is going to win the FIFA eWorld Cup?
Number 1, because I like doing numbers, I respect that Dan has done his history. He knows the FIFA scene, okay? Now with predictions, we're going against the grain here because we've never seen an Argentinian champion, and I think this is going to be the time for Nicolas. I think he'll get out of the PlayStation end, and as long as he can put it together for the cross console, this will be Nicolas's time.
Wow, that's bold. I like it. Dan?
I'm going to have to go with F2 Tex. I mean, throughout the entire season, I've predicted him in every tournament. Some he's won, some he hasn't. He looks really good. I think he wasn't showing his full potential at the playoffs, and he has to be my pick to win. Will he let me down? Will he let the country down? Who knows? Will he let himself down? I'm excited to watch either way.
We'll see if it's coming home or not. Well, I am going with, you ready for this?
I gave a drum roll. I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going with the field. I'm not going with any of the favorites. So the 4 guys that we mentioned at the top, it's Emma Cesari, F2 Tex, Nicolas, and Lev Vinkin. I'm going with the other 28
So you have the other
players.
28.
I'm going with the other 28. Like, if I was a betting man, I'd be like, listen, I'm not going to go with the favorites. I think there's better money to be earned if I go with the field. So I'm going, somebody in that 28 is going to win.
Wait, so
it's going to be super exciting. I can't wait.
You gave me grief
for
saying, like, I'm going to give hugs to everyone, and he's going with 28 of the
He also dropped
the
triple threat of all the North American guys, too.
did.
Jimmy has everyone in the competition. If you're competing, then you can win via Jimmy. Unless you don't, via Jimmy.
I love everybody, except for the favorites in this one. So you guys don't really care for my pick. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, great. I appreciate your honesty. All right, we are done here. So I want to say thank you for watching. Thank you to EA, of course, and thank you to everyone behind the scenes that make us look better than we deserve to be. But we have a recap for you guys. Check this out after a very amazing season of competitive FIFA 19.
This is what we live for. We live for drama. There's no more second best. Back, what a goal! What a goal! What a goal! If he saves this, he wins. Goes you through. There's the emotion.
He is one of a kind, and now he takes center stage.
We all can see what pass you want to make. A lot of space in behind.
Broadcasting live across Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Welcome, everyone. The question remains, who is next?
Its debut in Barcelona, the Swiss format has proved itself a very cool mistress.
There we have it. Another giant killer, I'm going to call it right there.
He stood as one and applauded what is one of the finest talents we've ever seen.
It's an amazing achievement.
Amazing achievement and also an amazing prediction. This is FIFA. Oh, wow.
You cannot write FIFA